Hello, welcome to the Daily Loop. Alright, transfer bids. We don't have any trialists. We actually checked these before, I think. So I think we did one change. So I think we moved this guy out for this guy. So he's got much higher, it's 43, so 10 higher on the average, but thing is, this guy, his low ones crossing, you just don't care about that at all. And movement, so these two real low ones, you just don't care at all. And the ones that you do, the natural fitness obviously matters a bit, but we care about the speed, we care about the strength, we care about the tackling. Those things are a big deal. They're all like 52, 53, 54. This guy, the stuff that we really care about, the marking is, the strength, the marking, they matter, but the speed is lower. We don't know the tackling. That's the big deal. If we knew the tackling and it was like 60 or whatever, maybe we keep him. But because we don't know it, because it's D, and speed is good, but it's not. We also don't know the aerial ability. There's key stuff we don't really know. Whereas this guy, like a lot of the key stuff is just, realistically, this guy's probably a useful central defender, no matter what else comes up. Whereas that's not true for the other guy. So we just did that swap. In the interest of saving time, I won't go through it all again. Let's just move on. We'll check them properly we'll try and get it. This is the first daily loop we've done in a while. We started just checking the trialists and then realised that maybe we should just record the daily loop because we've got a bit of time to do it. So I'm just going to flick through them so you can see yourself. This guy we thought about a bit. I think the main thing is just the finishing is quite a ways off. And we just don't really want to wait that long to find out if the player's any good or not. This guy again could be pretty good, but just really low dribbling and passing not great. So don't use right back basically. So yeah, and then the ones that we've got at the moment, let's just check. This is probably the more important thing to check. So this guy in particular is we're just a weird one because he's got this 17 finishing, but then he's got 60 speed and 55 dribbling as an MC. So it's like he could be very attacking in nature, but he can't finish, which is a problem. The aerial ability just got revealed, and it's 26, which also isn't ideal. This point, we're just waiting for the strength, because if this sort of 60 speed, 55 dribbling, and if it's like 60 strength or something, that's a fantastic combination. Those three things, and we might be able to make something work. Also the passing not being shown for ages is a thing. This guy is just, if there was another player that just was jumping out at us, we really want this guy, then he would just be gone for that other guy. But that other guy isn't here at the moment. So for now, we're just waiting on the strength. This guy, I think, is just looking pretty good overall. 56 speed, 56 tackling, 53 marking, 54 aerial ability. Just looking like a really good, solid central defender. So we're really just hopeful that we can probably just keep this guy. So, the top positioning isn't ideal. But, we're just waiting for these other attributes to get revealed. This guy we already discussed. This guy, 60 tackling, 60 vision. He's got good marking, good-ish, but the strength is low or whatever. So we're just waiting for some attributes to come up. This guy, 59 finishing. He's got some interesting, real high attacking stuff, like really high finishing, really high long shots. The vision just come up at 26, so we're kind of hoping he might have really high passing and vision, because they were A and B, and then from there he could be like a really useful attacking midfielder, if not a striker or whatever. Now the vision is low. We'll see. I'm not really sure where this guy goes, and the speed is miles off, and that's ultimately going to dictate a lot about whether this guy's any good or not for certain roles in our tactic. It could have got away with lower speed with high passing and vision, but because the vision is low, I think now it's more limited. Again, we could move this guy out if there was some other player that we were just really, really happy with, but there isn't at the moment. And then this guy just got organisation 51. He's got 60 shot stopping. We sort of are in the market now. If we look at our youth squad, maybe we can get a keeper. I think ideally what you really want is the keeper the following season after this one to come through. So we basically have a keeper that's 19 and 16. and then by the time this guy would be 21 and leaving, then the other guy would be turning 19 to enter the starting for the youth team or whatever. But that's just ideal. At the end of the day, if the right keeper's there, you gotta take him. Right, moving on. We've got a bunch of training options that we can... we normally do the scouter players list first. So at the moment, we covered this in the season roundup, at the moment we've got some clear priorities, but we'll just click through all the players. We don't use fullbacks at all, even for the youth team. We're not really in the market for a central defender unless they're basically awesome and young. So that's going to be pretty easy to flick through. We don't use DML. DMC, again, we're not really in the market. They've got to be awesome. At this point, a lot of positions have to be truly great for us to really have any interest, so it makes clicking through very easy. This guy's a maybe. We're going to compare him to what we got in the team and we'll come back. I think in particular because we need them to have a high passing, and we've got a lot of wide midfielders that have lower passing, and it's really hurt us, I feel. So we want to try and bring in some wide midfielders now that have high passing. Outside of that, he's fast and strong enough, and he's got good work rate. He's got a lot of pluses. Obviously, ideally the tackling would be higher for the up and back roll. Ideally the finishing would be high for the attacking role. Ideally the dribbling would be high for the attacking role. Ideally. But, the player's never going to be perfect. At the end of the day, maybe we get this guy. He's also got 68, which is a really high ceiling for a player that age. And he's got a very good purchase price. There's a lot to like about this guy. And then if you look at this boost, he's also going to get 2. He's also, got quite a bit of growth here, like 2 passing and long shots, positioning and marking, and 2 determination. Or you can go the other way, even as sort of legitimate potentially. Probably get this one. But, he's still got a bit of growth here because of this high ceiling, basically. So, the fact that he will get better still, he's also 25. Good age. I don't know. There's a lot to like. So we'll look, and we are in the market for a wide midfielder as well. So there's also that. So maybe we just buy this guy. We'll compare him to what we got. Let's just quickly go through the rest. This guy is just older. Again, the passing is just too low, and he's older. So we want the higher passing. MC is something we are looking for the senior team, not really for the youth. We've got a flood of... Last thing we want is a MC for the youth team, because we got so many young players we got to try and give matches to. We don't really want to shove them out even more than they are. So we really don't want a youth one. But I think this guy is just too old. This guy, I don't know, just not good enough. I think he's got a high ceiling though, but I think he's just not. I don't know. It's a weird one. I think just we want the tackling to be higher. I think that's all that's really wrong with him. He's close, but I think not quite there. We don't really need a striker either, so that'd have to be pretty good. So there was a couple. I think we can start with this guy. He's the easiest one. I think we're saying, at the end of the day, interestingly, both the wide midfielder and that MC are both ultimately, I think, going to be benchmarked and compared against this guy. If they're not better than this guy, just ignore them altogether. So I think probably the MC is just not straight up better than this guy, and this guy's younger and whatever. He's different, but I just think we're happy to use this guy as the MC instead. And then there's the wide midfielder. So he's ultimately not necessarily compared to this guy, because this guy will hang around regardless. I think he's probably more compared to Raphael. So what is that? 78, 75, 73, 66... So I definitely think there's an argument to use him over Raphael. I think mostly because of the high passing. and he's faster as well. I mean, this guy's got other stuff going on for him, and he's also got better tackling. He's also got better finishing. I think he's just better than this guy, so I think we're just going to buy him. And then the other one is the obvious one is this guy. He's got higher passing. He's got higher tackling. I think he's better than both, quite frankly. I think we're just going to buy him. Let's just buy him. He's better than both of those. So the fact that we need a wide midfielder, and he's better than two that we've already got, I think is just makes it an obvious choice. So interestingly, I think because he's better than both of those guys, I think actually we just want to start him, which is interesting as well. He does have 39 finishing, whereas this other guy had 53. So he's a worse finisher, and this guy was scoring a bit. And now we're left with who should be on the bench here. Because there should be a right midfielder. Probably Harburg needs to. I don't know. He can come in. It's weird because I think the player that gets sacrificed here is actually Bevan. The most utility oriented one is the one that needs to go, which is quite ironic. And I think we need a right midfielder on the bench, so that basically, oh no, we got this guy. It's interesting because he can come on. Maybe Bevan is the right one. Bit interesting. I'm not sure there. No, ideally he would be in central midfield. That is right. So ideally he comes on in central midfielder, so another player is going to come on in wide midfield. He can be the up and back actually, so I guess it's this guy. I guess you just wanted a left midfielder, which is weird, instead of him. It's a bit weird, but I think that's what we want. Alright, so this is our team setup, and I'm not sure with the auctions because we don't really want to buy anybody off the auctions list, quite frankly, at the moment. So we're just not really checking. We just really want to save our cash because we don't have a lot of. If we go to the projection, you know, we got some money, but as soon as we buy a player off that auctions list, we won't have any, and we're sort of trying to keep our money to make sure that anyone that's on the scatter players list, we can always just easily buy them. So, yeah. So I think that's that. I think that's the end of the daily roundup. Training. It's new. We were missing one thing. Right. Let's go through it. We saved a few on purpose the last few days to make sure we had a bit more to cover in this video. The training options. Ishikawa. It's quite the interesting option here. I'd say we do care about the dribbling. What do we care the most about here? Don't really care about the crossing too much. We don't really care about the tackling too much. Just trying to simplify the option here. We do care about the dribbling. We do care about the control. So ultimately, this is the question in a way. Is like, what do you care the most about here? They're very close. It's very interesting. Not many options we ever get that are this close, to be honest, for us to decide for what we need. Because he does receive the ball a lot, so that control matters. That's the thing. But also the dribbling matters because he gets the ball a lot. You're always happy for any outfield player to just have more tackling, regardless of where they're at. Quite frankly, if he ever wins a tackle from wherever he is, it's likely to be. This is the thing. Defensive players need to tackle in order to stop the other team from scoring. But if an attacking player ever makes a tackle, it's likely to be in quite an advanced position. It's likely to catch the other team sort of out of position, so to speak. So it's likely a tackle won anywhere on the pitch, especially for central attacking players, is always valuable. That's the thing. So it's like weird. It's like it's not a priority attribute, but it always matters. You're always happy for it to be higher. Any outfield player, always happy for that. Crossing less so. He's not really drifting wide ever. So I would say, I don't know. So close, right? Because we're saying basically the extra tackling matters more than the extra crossing. So this one's got it a little bit, and the dribbling matters. So this one's got it quite a bit. But then the control also matters a lot. So then it's like, I'm not sure anymore. And then this one gets the one crossing, which whilst it's not a high priority, he's still drifting wide. It still matters a little bit, just the least out of everything. So close. I think in particular, just the control. I don't know, honestly. Could be either. I think the control just matters. It's one of those ones that's hard to... It's more something you see when it doesn't really work than when it does. But the fact that this guy's receiving the ball so much, I think that control just really matters. And ultimately, it also means that the on-the-ball skills matter more, so the dribbling matters more. But so that's not ideal. But I guess also, whilst he doesn't cross a lot or whatever, it's like it's still pretty high. It's high enough that he might end up taking corners and stuff sometimes as well, which matters more. And set pieces. I'm going to go with this one, but what I will say is it's ridiculously close. So it could easily just be the other one. You can convince yourself of anything here, just about. Like I was saying before, the tackling. Thing is, he also just... That's the thing. One of the big things he does with the ball is he just runs with the dribbling. That's the main thing he does. I'm going to switch my mind now. Maybe I overcomplicated it. At the end of the day, the main thing he does is he gets the ball a lot and he runs with it a lot. At the moment, because he's so damn fast. So, well, he lost some of his speed actually. He was, I think, higher, but yeah. And this guy, he's been coming off the bench. He's more like a destroyer type of thing. So you get, I think, is this one in the end. He is the destroyer role. He's just running around tackling people. So this one's just better across the board except the marking, but I think mostly he's just running around making tackles. So it's better that he's faster, it's better that he's stronger, basically. And then that extra aerial ability is also quite useful. So this guy's just been running as a poacher. So I would say that the composure matters. High priority, I mean. And it's probably the highest one. And then maybe the movement. And the long shots. So I'd say it's just this one because the composure is the most important. Then that goes up by 2. And then outside of that, we happy, like we're saying, central position, attacking, whatever, happy for the extra tackling. Striker at the end of the day, happy for the extra long shots. Positioning don't matter. The marking really don't matter at all, especially when it's that low anyway. The natural fitness matters a bit, sure. But I'd just say on the whole, it's definitely this one. Parmentier. I think the finishing is more useful than the long shots for sure. The dribbling is useful. Positioning don't really matter. I think it's just this one. Composure also matters. He becomes a much better goal scorer with this side. Between that extra finishing, that extra dribbling, that extra composure. Raphael, I think we don't want him to lose the speed. That's one thing. And then outside of that, I think this option is just better anyway because it's got more pluses. It's just a better option. No choice. This one, gosh. So this guy in particular has been doing really well. He could potentially have a future as a backup striker for the first team. His contract currently expires in December. I say this because the contract, what's the value of this contract extension? Is it likely to ever be used? If the answer is no, then it has no value. If the answer is maybe, then it has some. And if the answer is definitely yes, then it has a lot. And I think the answer to that is maybe. I mean, at the end of the day, this guy's fast and strong, but he can't really dribble. His finishing is okay, but it's not great. His composure is low. His long shots is low. He can't really pass. He can't really cross. He's very limited, one-dimensional striker. His movement isn't particularly great either. So I would say it's more in the maybe territory. What's his ceiling? It's also 64, so it's okay. He has room for growth, and you can see his attributes are going up. But I would say, right, it's got some value. There's a chance we use it. So if we ignore it for a second, what would we pick? I would say we're definitely picking well, what is the trade-off here? He's saying 2 points in tackling and 3 points in determination versus 3 points in work rate. So I would say definitely it's the A option by a little bit. I think for a striker that is not a pressing forward or whatever. We don't want him running around. We want this striker in particular. You just want to stay up and score. So I'd say, and he's playing a lot, so the determination helps with the extra development points and whatever. And as we were saying before, a tackle won by a striker is always going to be in a valuable position pretty much to win the ball. So I would say it's definitely the A option, but not by a lot, just by something. I'm probably just going to get the contract extension just because of the value that has. If, for example, one of these was finishing or some other key attribute, we'd go for it. But at the end of the day, it is useful to have these attributes high, but they're just kind of not key for this player. Like the determination, not that key at this point. It would have mattered a lot more when he was 16 or younger player, just to have got that benefit throughout all those extra points throughout all of those youth matches. But right now, it's like he'll play for the youth team for the rest of this season, and then after this season, he's just going to be a bit play the odd match off the bench for the senior team. Basically, it's not going to be matter that much. And so you're basically saying, really, like, you get the benefit of that for this season, and you get the 2 points in tackling versus 3 work rate. Honestly, it's still probably rather have the 2 tackling than the 3 work rate, but it's not that big. It's just the contract extension just has, even if it doesn't end up being something we use, it's just the fact that it just has a lot of intrinsic value. There were so many manager skill points to have one. You have to treat them with high priority, basically. You really do in these, and it's not a tough enough decision. We're just taking the contract extension. This guy, deep line playmaker. We basically saying we get extra control, which matters because it's deep line playmaker, extra dribbling, which matters, and extra tackling matters. These three will matter. Movement doesn't really matter. Work rate matters a bit, but not really. It's definitely the A option. These things are just all key attributes for that role and position for us. This guy, shot stopping down 1, organisation up 3, natural fitness down 2, strength. So it's basically just like, I think it's the A option. We just don't really want to lose the shot stopping. Sorry, not the A, the B option. We don't want to lose the shot stopping. This guy, box to box midfielder. We just want the thing that gets him the most well-rounded. It's just going to be this option. I think you get the extra long shots, the extra finishing, the 2 extra crossing, doesn't really matter. The 2 extra flair, and this side just has 2 extra natural fitness. So I think this side definitely better. This player, very specific role for us. We want him to have marking. We want him to have aerial ability, tackling, speed. None of those are here. Well, the speed is, but they're both 0. So outside of that, what is it? Movement, don't really care. Determination, strength, agility. I think it's this one. Like I said, the movement doesn't really matter at all. So if you ignore that, you're basically saying it's an agility and a determination versus 2 strength. I think the 2 strength is more valuable. This guy, the dribbling matters a lot. The movement matters. I guess it's this one. Feels a bit like, how important is this dribbling? I think is the question. 2 marking doesn't really matter. You got 4 natural fitness, so you're basically saying, what would you rather have? 4 natural fitness or 1 work rate, which is so low anyway. It doesn't really matter. And I guess he's going to be creative forward, if anything, for our team, probably. So it really doesn't matter at all, the work rate. The movement's going to matter a bit, and then the dribbling matters. So what you're saying is it's something like 4 natural fitness and a movement versus 1 dribbling. I don't know. I guess it's this. It's a shame because the dribbling clearly is the most important thing, but there's just too much. Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like that guy's going to make it anyway. So, so weird because it's like he's definitely not going to make it if you're not taking the key attributes either. I mean, he's never going to start anyway. Because he's never going to start, like, the natural fitness is never going to do anything. Except to impact his sort of points and training options when he's older. But that's so far down the track, we don't even care about that now. So right now, you're not even saying 4 natural fitness. All you're saying is just, you're going to get a work rate and a dribbling versus 2 marking and a movement. So I think it is the B option after all. Then the reason is, if his endurance was high and he could start, then the natural fitness impacts the amount of condition he gets back at half time. Then we go the A option. The reason why we're going for the B option is because the endurance is 3. He's never going to start. Therefore, the condition he gets back at halftime is never going to matter. Therefore, the natural fitness matters way less. Therefore, this A option is way weaker. Another contract extension. So we have to treat this as, I think it's just going to be this one anyway, just because it's, yeah, this has the extra flair, but clearly this one's just better across the board anyway. This one, the endurance is a factor. We got to bear that in mind. He's fast and he gets tired, so we really don't want to lose that endurance. We'll have to sub him off more often. And then this one has a natural fitness, which is going to help him play the matches out. So I think ultimately it's just going to be this one, because we just don't want to lose that endurance right now. Right, like for a player like this, we're just more focused on making sure that he has, like, we're playing him in every match. It's a bit different. These younger players, you're speculating a bit on the future to what they might become. When you have a player who's starting, is playing every match, and you know what you need from him, and what we need from him is to last the match out and not have to be subbed off. And right now it's borderline. It's so borderline. Like, he does need to be subbed off often, but very late, and it's not that big a deal if he just finishes the match a bit tired. Stripping away this endurance is just going to hurt that a lot. Whereas on this one, not only do we not strip it away, but we also get an extra natural fitness to help a little bit last it out. Yes, we would like the extra strength and we would like the extra flair. Those things are actually pretty important for him. But yeah, it's just more important that he lasts the match out for us tactically, that we don't have to burn subs on him. Composure matters, the marking matters more. Right, oddly, getting this MR position potentially can make this guy a bit more useful until he's sold. Yes, it won't come for 7 more days. Let's just have a look at him for the MR. Yeah, it makes him way more tactically useful to ham around, quite frankly. It's not ideal to lose the speed, the extra speed, but I think we're just going to do it for the sake of getting that extra position. Because right now he's just never going to play anyway. If he plays MR as well, maybe he does end up playing a bit. We're not extending his contract regardless, and it'll be sold, so it's kind of all a bit like whatever type of decision anyway. But Catania, we care about the control, we care about the marking, we care about the composure, we care about everything here nearly. Not so much the flair, but I think the control and the marking we care a lot about. Composure quite a bit. I think it's this one, just that extra control and that extra marking. He plays more like the sweeper type of role, like, so, and he's the most central of the defenders, so the marking matters more. He gets the ball the most, so whilst the flair kind of doesn't matter for central defenders, of all of the ones we have, it matters the most for him. It's not priority though. To be clear here though, these things, the agility matters because you'll get back up, he recovers faster. The endurance matters because he'll last matches out better. The composure matters. I don't know, it's tricky one. You could swing me either way here. I think what we'll do is we're just going to check the match reports quickly. Results senior. Catania 84%. I'm just checking how much that endurance matters. 79% is subbed off. Matters. 86%. 81%. 78%. 81%. He's close. I'll just keep checking. 78%. 78. Okay. The thing is, it just matters. That extra bit of endurance is just going to matter. So let's reevaluate this through that lens. It's an extra endurance. It's just going to matter a bit. So plus we get a composure, which is good, and agility, which is good. We drop the flare, don't really care. The marking matters. I think unfortunately it's going to be the B option, mostly just because of how tight those matches. It's like he's just below 80, right? And this endurance can just make it so that he falls just below 80 a little bit later and a little bit less often, and that's got a lot of value. Right, striker. Care about the aerial ability, care about the agility, care about the movement, care about the vision, care about the finishing. Care about everything here. It's pretty rare that's the case. What do we care more than others? Well, finishing the most. So we start with this movement. I think it's just this option. Yeah, we like the aerial ability and the agility, sure, but it's better to just get the finishing, I think. Then Boothway. I think it's going to be the B option because it's got the extra tackling, so 2 points sort of swing on the tackling and the positioning, and losing one less speed. So yeah, these other bits matter. Like the composure matters a bit, but it's definitely just the B option. So yeah, so we're done with these training options. That ended up taking quite a bit of time. That actually ended up, because there were so many for all those days, that actually, and some of them were quite close. I think that took more time than everything else put together. So, all right, awesome. Thanks for watching, and I think we're going to play some matches. Cheers.